Hello and thank you for watching. My name is Matt Giordano. I'm going to share some tips, specifically one tip for you guys in pigeon pose that can help you in getting the pose to be out of the knee joint and into the hip joint. So what can help us is the articulation through the foot, which is one of the weight-bearing places in pigeon pose. So in order to understand how to articulate your foot, we have many different variations. You can take your feet forward into like Paschimottanasana kind of feel and attempt to just point and flex a few times. Pulling back is flexing, or dorsiflexion. Plantar flexion is pointing the foot. So point and flex a few times. Point, flex. And then once you've warmed up your ankles, then we try to do another rotation, which is called inversion and eversion. When you invert your feet, the soles of your feet will come toward each other, making like a prayer shape. Then when you evert your feet, it's the exact opposite. Try to pull your pinky toes back like a reverse prayer, as if you're trying to get the backs of your feet to touch each other. So your pinkies will start to move further or closer together, and the big toes will reach slightly forward. It's important to know that you can invert and evert with dorsiflexed feet or plantar flexed feet, or of course somewhere in between. So try inverting and everting a few times with dorsiflexion, and then try coming into plantar flexion and inverting and everting. So everting again is pulling the pinky toe side of the foot together towards each other. Inverting is the opposite. You'll see a lengthening in the outer ankle in inversion, and you'll see a shortening in the outer ankle in eversion. So you kind of do both. After you've done that a few times, then let's apply it to pigeon pose. So from your downward facing dog, simply just take one shin forward, and whatever degree it comes forward naturally is where I'd like you guys to start. In other words, try not to pull the foot forward. Don't yank on your knee joint, in other words. So what you're going to do is, if your shin came forward more or less like mine, which is less than 90 degrees, you're going to keep it that way and start to point plantar flex your foot, meaning point through your foot and make like a Barbie doll foot, where you point and you flex your toes. So you point through the foot but flex your toes back. Once you have the point and flex, then start to evert the ankle, meaning slide your hand underneath your ankle bone and see if you can create space underneath. If you've created space underneath your ankle bone, you're starting to evert the foot. Try to keep the eversion of the foot and come to center with the pelvis. Keeping the eversion, lifting the outer ankle bone off the ground, then you can start to deepen the pose. Before we deepen the pose, I'm just going to talk to those of you that naturally came across in more of a 90-degree angle. If you came into a 90-degree angle, it is safe or safer to then dorsiflex the foot. So, in other words, if your shin is parallel to the front of your mat, flex your foot. Then start to push the big toe forward and lift the outer ankle bone up so that there's space underneath your ankle. And what you'll feel is one of two things: either an increased stretch in the outer hip, or your body will lean to the right in order to avoid this sensation of stretch. So the body is kind of getting out of it. So if you leaned to the right, just simply keep the ankle bone up and come back to center. Now, to deepen this pose, to go deeper, for those of you that are already at 90 degrees, what you'll do is make sure that the back thigh is turned in and the pelvis is square, meaning you can lift the back knee up off the ground, and you can spin the back thigh internally and stay there. If you still feel like, okay, you've got your outer ankle bone lifting, your back thigh's turned in, and your shin is parallel to the front of the mat, and you want to go deeper, then simply bow to the left. It will pull on the fascial sheath from the outer hip all the way through the side waistline, giving you a deeper stretch. Bearing in mind that there's a limited range of motion that you want in your body. You don't always want to go for a deeper stretch. So please listen to your body. Observe if you're trying to go for some sort of external goal, or if it's actually feeling like this is a good movement for you. A good yoga teacher with good eyes can help you out, and I totally recommend seeing somebody in person. These videos are just to help you get some tips that you may not get from the people near you. So I just want to revisit those of you with the 45-degree angle shin or more or less, where your foot is plantar flexed. If you have this plantar flexion in your everted foot, if you want to go deeper, here's how I would work it personally, is I would bring the front knee a little bit back. From that back position, lift the front of your pelvis up and make sure both sides of your pelvis are lifted. A lot of us will lean to one or even the other, putting torque on the knee or just completely decreasing the stretch altogether. So, keeping both sides of the pelvis lifted, the outer ankle bone lifted, move your front knee back, keep the pubic bone lifted upward, and move your back thigh back as well. Once you move the back thigh and your pelvis back and your front knee back, your outer ankle bone will probably collapse out of lack of strength. Just simply try to revisit and gain more strength, lifting the outer ankle bone up. Know that it takes time to build the strength in the outer shin muscles to get the ankle bone there, but continue to try lifting the outer ankle bone up. Then from here, just check in, the back thigh is turned in. As the back thigh turns in, your outer ankle bone is up. Instead of leaning forward and putting all the weight back into the knee joint, stay moving back with your pelvis. If you're going to bring the elbows down, just bring it right down in front of your shin so that you can maintain the stretch of the pose back through the back heel. I'm going to give you a side profile of just how to adjust the pose so you can visually see it. Outer ankle bone, both hips evenly off the ground, front knee goes back, back thigh turns in and stretches back. Keeping with that back thigh turned in and stretching back, square off the pelvis, outer ankle bone stays, elbows down in front. Alright, so hopefully that helps some of you out. There's many more tips to pigeon pose we can add, but this is a good short video for you guys to start with, to start strengthening the muscles that support the outer ankle joint. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Matt. Namaste.